Do you really have control over your life? Before answering, think carefully. Did you choose your desires, your beliefs, your fears, or were they implanted in you by your family, by society, by experiences you don't even remember? We all like to believe that we're free, that our decisions are the result of a rational and independent mind. But what if all of this is just a carefully constructed illusion? Carl Jung had a disturbing view of the human psyche. For him, most of what we call free will is merely a reflection of the unconscious, a theater of shadows where we think we are in control, but in reality, we are guided by hidden forces within us. Have you ever wondered why you repeat the same mistakes? Why you are attracted to the same types of people? Why you sabotage your own chances of happiness? If you truly had free will, why would you make choices that lead you to suffering? The truth is that most of the decisions you make were already written long before you even realized it. Your childhood programmed you. The traumas you buried define how you react to the world. The emotions you avoid control every aspect of your life. And the most frightening part, your unconscious wants to keep things exactly as they are. It doesn't want change. It doesn't want you to awaken. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. But what does this really mean? What forces are manipulating you behind the scenes of your own mind? And more importantly, is there a way to break this illusion and regain control over your own life? If you think you already know the answers, think again. Because what you are about to discover may forever change the way you see yourself. If you really had free will, why do you so often feel trapped in the same patterns? Why, despite promising yourself that you will be different, that this time you will make better choices, do you end up returning to the same destructive cycles? The answer is not in your willpower or your reasoning ability. It lies in something much deeper, your unconscious. Carl Jung understood that the unconscious was not just a repository of forgotten memories or repressed thoughts. It is a living force, operating silently behind the scenes of your mind, shaping your decisions long before you are even aware of them. It manifests in impulses, in inexplicable intuitions, in that strange feeling of, I've been through this before. Imagine an iceberg. Your conscious mind, what you believe to be you, your ego, your personality, is just the visible tip above the water. But below the surface, much larger and more powerful, is the submerged part of the iceberg, your unconscious. It holds not only memories and past experiences, but also conditioning that you absorbed without realizing it. The values of your family, the norms of society, the beliefs you were taught as a child, all of this becomes part of your decision-making system, even if you never questioned whether these values truly make sense for you. Want an example? Think of someone who always ends up falling in love with people who hurt them. Consciously, this person wants a healthy relationship. They tell themselves that next time will be different. But when they realize it, they are already caught up in another cycle of pain. Why? Because their unconscious associates love with suffering. Perhaps in childhood, this person only received attention when they were sad or vulnerable. Maybe they grew up in an environment where affection was mixed with emotional instability. These experiences were recorded deep in their mind, like a hidden program running in the background. And so, without realizing it, this person seeks the same pattern repeatedly because the unconscious has one goal: to keep everything familiar. The unconscious does not want you to change. It has been programmed to keep you safe within the patterns it knows. And that means that even when you think you are making a rational decision, your mind has already chosen for you long before. But if that's the case, how can we break this cycle? How can we escape this invisible prison that controls our lives without us realizing it? To understand this, we need to dive into one of Jung's darkest concepts, the shadow, the hidden part of your mind that truly dictates what you do. If there is something within you that shapes your choices without you realizing it, what is your true nature? Do you really know yourself? The answer may be more disturbing than you imagine. According to Jung, within each of us exists a dark aspect, a repressed part of our psyche that acts silently, influencing our thoughts, emotions, and decisions. He called this force the shadow. The shadow is not just a philosophical concept or an abstract archetype. It is real as any conscious thought you have, and it has a much greater power over your life than you would like to admit. Think of all the times you reacted in a way that you later couldn't explain. That moment when you lost control, when you felt irrational hatred, when you sabotaged an opportunity you wanted. That jealousy that seemed illogical, that fear that made no sense, that secret pleasure in seeing someone fail. All these reactions do not come from your rational self. They come from the shadow. Since childhood, we are taught to hide certain parts of ourselves. You cannot be selfish. You cannot feel anger. You cannot be vulnerable. So, what do? We bury these emotions and pretend they don't exist. We create a mask, an acceptable persona for the world, and convince ourselves that we are only this idealized version. But what we repress does not disappear. On the contrary, it becomes even stronger because the unconscious does not forget. It just waits for the right moment to take control. And that is exactly what happens. The shadow manifests in unexpected ways. It appears in our projections, when we judge in others what we do not accept in ourselves. Have you ever noticed how certain behaviors of other people deeply bother you? How that arrogant colleague irritates you, perhaps because he expresses a confidence you wish you had? How someone who is too impulsive makes you angry, perhaps because you were taught to always repress your desires? This is the shadow projecting itself onto others. But it also manifests in even more dangerous ways. It can make you self-sabotage, lead you to seek situations that reinforce your worst fears, and turn your repressed desire into obsession. How many people spend their lives running away from something only to run directly toward it? The shadow guides them without them realizing it. And here is the most important question. As long as you ignore your shadow, you will never be in control. You will believe that your decisions are yours, but in reality, they're dictated by the aspects of yourself that you refuse to face. You think you are choosing your destiny, but you are merely following an invisible script written by the parts of you that remain trapped in the dark. But if this is true, if hidden forces within us really manipulate us, what about the external world? Are we also conditioned by something even greater? Something that influences us from the moment we are born? To understand this, we need to look beyond ourselves and question one of humanity's greatest illusions. The idea that we are independent individuals in a free society. If your unconscious is already manipulating you on an individual level, imagine what happens when we add to that the impact of an entire society programmed to control the way you think, act, and even feel. From the moment you were born, even before you were aware of yourself, you were already being shaped by something greater than your own psyche. The world you live in, the culture that surrounds you, the invisible rules that tell you what is right and wrong. All of this forms a mental labyrinth from which few people can escape. Think about it. Did you choose your beliefs? or were they implanted in you through your family, school, media, and religion? Since childhood, you have been taught to obey certain norms, to avoid certain behaviors, and to desire specific things. You were not born wanting a stable job, a beautiful house, and social acceptance. These were ideas that were introjected into you without your realizing it. You believe you want these things because it is normal. But the question that almost no one asks is, normal for whom? Society does not want you to be a truly free individual. It wants you to fit in. It wants you to follow a predetermined path, a predictable cycle of study, work, consumption, and obedience. And to ensure that you do not stray from this path, it uses one of the most powerful mechanisms that exist: emotional programming. From an early age, you learn that deviating from the expected brings consequences. You learn to feel guilt when you think differently from the group. You learn to feel fear when you challenge an authority. You learn to desire what everyone desires, because the worst punishment for the human mind is isolation.